when I saw the Budapest meeting canceled, I'll admit, I was discouraged because I believe that President Trump and President Putin have the ability to end this war. Why was Putin unwilling to accept Trump's terms for a meeting?
So I think that's kind of putting all the blame on Putin. And
well, I am, to be clear.
Well, of course, yeah. Well, not surprising. But to be fair, before we even start, we don't actually know what happened. We don't know what was said. We don't know what the terms were. And to be clear, I'm hearing from people in Russia that the deal is actually still on. The meeting is going to happen. And that all of this is disinformation and the West is trying to shut these meetings down.
You're breaking some news for us
To
here.
give credit to that, Viktor Orban of Hungary said the meetings are still on and they're still going to happen. The date hasn't been set, or he hasn't announced a date anyway, but he said they're still ongoing. Kirill Dmitriev.
Again, to be clear, you were recently in Russia. You're well-sourced in Russia. And what you're saying is there are officials who are close to the Russian government. There are media officials in Russia who still expect this to happen.
Yes.
And what they believe is actually there's some folks on the American side trying to get in the way of that peace.
Trying to stop peace.
By the way, that archetype, which you just described, I don't think is all that dissimilar to some of the tomfoolery we've seen in the Middle East, where President Trump is constantly trying to get the decision makers in the room to carve out peace, and there are people who want to continue violence.
Well, it's no surprise we have warhawks who want to keep this going. But Kirill Dmitriev came out and said that this is still ongoing and don't believe the media. So we'll see. I don't know what the facts are, but that's what's being said.
Okay, well then my blame directed at Putin is this. I don't believe he has been sufficiently willing to work with Trump and to be Trump's partner in this peace plan. Like, why is this stupid war still going on?
Because their terms haven't been met. What we're seeing right now is a one-sided story. All we're getting is, well, you know, the West offered the olive branch and Putin refused. He wants war. We don't know that. The question is, what kind of peace and on whose terms? Because Putin and Russia from the beginning have outlined what their requirements are for peace. And at this point, they want a reduction of sanctions. They want recognition of the Donbass region as Russian. I mean, at this point, it would be like if the U.S. had to give up Texas to solve a border war. Like, that's not realistic. That's not realistic for them.
But not Texas.
Well, yeah, okay. But from Russia's point of view, that's what they're looking at this like. This is their territory. Why should they have to give it up? And to say, okay, we're going to freeze the fighting right here, wherever it is, doesn't give them the 25% remaining of Donbass that they say is actually theirs. They want relief from sanctions. They want these security guarantees. And we have this image that Russia is constantly attacking. You know, Trump offered peace yesterday and Russia is bombing Ukraine today. What we don't hear is Ukraine is also bombing Russia. They just attacked a school. They're bombing civilians. That doesn't get reported. So it's all very one-sided. Both sides are, you know, their fingers are dirty at this point, but we only ever hear one side of it.
But if Putin has a vision for peace in this circumstance, you know, why doesn't he agree to the terms to get eyeball to eyeball with Trump to work those things out? Because frankly, Pearson, I don't think this is about, you know, is the battle line a few kilometers this way or a few kilometers that way? I think what Russia actually needs is a security structure in Europe that they can live with.
Yeah,
and that includes a buffer. And sometimes that buffer is going to be in the form of geography, but I think there are diplomatic buffers that can be provided too. Like not admitting Ukraine into NATO would be a diplomatic buffer.
That would be great. And see, we're not offering them that. We're not offering them anything. We're just saying
Trump put it on Truth Social.
Stop fighting.
Trump put on Truth Social that Ukraine wasn't going to join NATO. Trump is doing everything he can to end this war. And I look at Putin as somebody who, you know, I wonder, is he trying to externalize his own conflict?
I don't think I don't think we know what the details are. But the fact is that we've seen a lot of very good progress recently. Last week, Marco Rubio and Lavrov had a great talk. Then we had Trump and Putin had a great talk. And after that talk, it was so good, in fact, that Trump took Tomahawk missiles off the table for Ukraine. So
that would be a terrible idea, by the way. Could we just take a moment on that? If we were to give Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, the risk of accident, the risk of escalation.
Accident. Yeah.
Well,
I don't think it would be an accident.
But what I mean is you could have a circumstance where Ukraine wasn't even launching Tomahawk missiles, but there could be an accident in an assessment there that would result in escalation. Like the fog of war can create accidents just in perception. And I think when you start injecting Tomahawk missiles into this fight, you don't make an end closer. You make it more
Right.
likely that this is going to be an escalatory environment.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.